Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom on this channel, and we talk about it in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you know you've come to the right place. We are so happy to have you here. Today is Saturday, where we talk about things we didn't get to talk about the rest of the week. However, there is a topic I've been hearing more and more the past couple of days, and that topic is, what about Nightmare on Elm Street? Could there be a new Nightmare on Elm Street film? Well, we finally have some news on that front to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Okay, so we finally have some news on the Nightmare on Elm Street front, and it's not exactly the news we were all hoping to hear, because the news, of course, that we were hoping to hear was that there is a new Nightmare film in production. And there was even an April Fool's joke done by Jackie Earl Haley, who said, as most of you already know, it's official, Warner Brothers just greenlit Nightmare on Elm Street 2026. Super pumped and excited to don the glove again. 1, 2, guess who's coming for you? Well, everybody was super excited because it's been like 15 years since we've had any sort of Freddy news. It seemed like it's never going to happen. Well, then somebody actually posed a question to New Line Cinema's boss about this project, saying, hey, what's up with this? You know, are we getting a new Nightmare on Elm Street or not? And essentially what it boils down to is the Freddy Krueger character is able to do a movie. However, New Line Cinema owns the rights to the international release of this movie, and the Wes Craven estate owns the rights to Freddy Krueger's US distribution. And I guess a couple other places as well, but internationally, they can't release a film because New Line Cinema still owns rights to it. Now, they were posing this question, and we know that the Wes Craven estate was shopping around a movie. We know this to be true, and what ended up happening with that is that they had some interested parties. Fun fact, even Elijah Wood, the actor, actually had an idea for bringing back Freddy Krueger. However, none of this really matters unless you have an actual script, unless you have something that they're looking at that everybody agrees on, that New Line wants to work with internationally, and the family wants to work with where they can. And that's kind of the problem we ran into, because ultimately, those two sides have to come together. And of course, New Line wants that money. They want that money, because they know that Freddy is a big property that's going to make them a lot of money if they can distribute that movie. But on the other side, the Wes Craven estate owns the character here in the US. They own the character, and they alone can decide what happens with it. Now, that might sound a bit odd, but that's where films are kind of going a lot of times. You have this person who has the rights to distribute it here. You have this person that has the rights to distribute it here. You have this person that owns the movie, and it just creates this big mess. And you might be wondering, why don't they all just come together? Well, that's ultimately what they want to do in this scenario. The New Line Cinema boss says he's hopeful that a deal can be reached and that people will get to see a new Nightmare on Elm Street film. That's essentially what's going on there. That's what they've said. However, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen relatively soon. So while there is now this hope that Freddy Krueger could in fact be back, there's still distribution rights. There's still the trouble. And if this reminds you of the Jason Voorhees stuff, you're not alone. It is exactly the same type of thing that we've seen happen over and over again with properties. It doesn't even matter the property. Take this property, that property, rinse and repeat. It happens to Marvel. This has even happened in the case of the recent Superman movie, where they were kind of told they can't run it internationally because they don't own that part of it. Well, you know, that's kind of the thing. It happens all the time. There's nothing that can be done, just the two sides have to make an effort to come together to give us the property we want and to give us the movie that we deserve. Now, in the case of Robert Englund, we know he isn't going to come back to play this part. However, there are plenty of actors who would love to step into those shoes. And plenty of trades have been reporting on this. Everything from Bloody, Disgusting to Fangoria has been going on about this news that yes, they are interested in bringing Freddy back. And when you have that much interest and that much of a spike, if you will, in the press where they want this to be a topic and they're all talking about it because they're excited about it, because they're fans, that's when stuff starts to happen. You might remember just recently, Sarah Michelle Gellar started talking about the possibility of a Buffy reboot, which even as far as January this year was something that was considered. However, they didn't know if it was going to happen. It wasn't really a sure thing. And then Sarah Michelle Gellar started talking about it. And the second she started talking about it, we started getting more and more news. And suddenly it looks like it is indeed a sure thing that is going to happen. And the same thing sort of started to happen with the Crystal Lake series. The whole Jason Voorhees series that we're getting now would not have come out and would not have actually happened if not for the fans and the press reporting on all the news that was coming out and being ultra excited about the possibility of more Jason Voorhees. So when you have the press excited and you have the fans excited, that's what makes stuff happen, because ultimately film companies are in it to make money. If they know something is a hot property, if they know it's something people want, they're eventually going to try to come together to make some sort of deal, to make it happen so that everybody earns money. They don't have to be friends, because ultimately it's not about friendship. It's not about friendship. It's not called show friends. It's called show biz. And they're all there to make money. And that's exactly what they're going to try to do. So I am hopeful that this news coming out about them trying and hoping that this is going to happen is only the beginning of what we're going to see. Because ultimately they said it's not close to happening yet. But once you start to talk about it, it suddenly starts to become more real. If both sides are willing to put aside their differences, we could get a Freddy Krueger movie sooner rather than later. But that is where I am going to leave it off to you guys. I do want to know what you guys are thinking about this. Are you excited about the possibility of a new Freddy Krueger movie? Do you think that this needs to happen, don't need to happen? Would you like to see Freddy Krueger stay just gone and them to create completely new horror icons? Or are you longing, like a lot of people, for that nostalgic villain to make his way back to the screens? As always, I want to hear from you guys, so make sure you are leaving me that comment in the comment box below. Make sure you share this video with all of your friends that are going to want to be a part of this crazy conversation. Make sure that you hit that like button. It's free, it helps the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Then hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, there's a button right close to it. That's the notification bell. Go ahead and hit that too so you don't miss a single video we do. Because friends, you know it and I know it. At the end of the day, fandom is family.